Welcome to the 24K Life podcast. I am your host, Derick Gant. Here in the 24K Life, we love to operate by a code. You know, a code can be looked at positively or negatively. I will tell you that I didn't call it the 24K Life rules because people don't like rules. But we all have a specific code that we're supposed to live by in order to deliver our absolute best selves to ourselves and from ourselves. What do I mean by that? You know, I actually happen to be a morning person. If I tried to stay up all day, all night, and then produce something amazing at night, it's not going to happen. Something great is going to come from me first thing in the morning. I have a whole set of things and rules and codes that I use to make sure I'm operating at my absolute best. In that light, the 24K Life podcast loves to bring you great people that will add to you developing your 24K Life code. How can these individuals and guests make your life better? That's the premise. So when you listen with the intent that I'm going to pick up a nugget, 2 nuggets, maybe even 3 nuggets. And today I'm guessing it's going to be a 3 nugget day because we have Jerry Scarlato. He is going to talk about how to overcome some difficult times so that you can accelerate and excel and advance. You like these words? Accelerate, excel, and advance to a higher level in this life. We all need a little bit of help, a little bit of insight. Hey, if you like this episode, or if you don't like it, if you just want to hear more, like, share, and subscribe, because if you don't like it, somebody else will. Everything is meant for someone at the exact right time. Jerry, welcome, brother.
Derick, how are you, my friend? A lot of pressure. I hope I perform.
3 nuggets,
well.
man. I didn't give you 5.
I love it, dude. I like the distinction between rules and code too. That was beautiful.
Yeah, you know, nobody wants to operate by a set of rules or
I hate
have
following
to,
rules.
you know, or being pressured. Yeah, nobody. I'm not a rule follower. But you know what? But there is a code, and you know, it's like the police have a code. They have the blue wall, man. You can't fuck with the blue wall, right? Or you have the Marines have a code. There's the guy code, the girl code. What we don't have and what most people miss is your own personal
100%.
code. And that means that you don't have any boundaries because people can just come in and out and do what they will, and you accept it. Or you say, look, that's not going to work for me. Doesn't operate towards my code. No, I'm not getting up at 6 o'clock because I'm a night owl. I'm not getting up at 6 to go pick you up from the airport. You better go Uber. So yeah, man. But welcome to the show, man. Tell us about you're going through a transition in your business, and you also have been through many transitions in your life, just like most of us have. I mean, I know I have. But tell us about where you hail from and your background. Give us an update on your expertise.
Well, I like to say that I'm from Baton Rouge. I'm from the South. I only lived there for 13 years of my life in the beginning of my life, but that's still home to me, even though I've lived in the Cincinnati area for the last 26 years of my life now.
Okay.
So I'm in Cincinnati, but I'm from the South.
So wait a second. I'm trying to remember what they say in Cincinnati. I'm in Northwest Ohio. Do they say who they or who that? Who
yeah,
they? Yeah. All right.
The ironic thing is the LSU Tigers are the Bayou Bengals. So I got the Bengals down south and the Bengals up here.
You're still a Bengal, brother.
I still got it. Different colors, completely different colors. But
it's all right. All right. But winner's a winner, though. You know, you guys are winners. LSU does well. Cincinnati does well.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm a Steelers man, by the way. But you know,
are you really?
I am, man. Don't ask me. Don't ask me how.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. We need a quarterback, though. But we're not here to talk sports, man. We don't want to bore half of our audience talking about sports. But so Baton Rouge originally, Cincinnati for the majority. Yeah. What about your expertise?
So I've been in health and fitness for over 15 years now. I've been in the gym since I moved here. So since I was about 14 years old, I got in the gym, was in there, of course, athletics, like that's what got me there. And then I just stayed there. Like I didn't get out of it. So was in health and fitness for professionally for 15 years, owned a fitness studio for 10 of those years.
Hmm.
And then last year actually closed the studio down. And now I'm transitioning into more of a holistic personal development approach and doing that online by building a business online.
I
So,
love it.
as you can imagine, basically shutting off being the leader of a business, of a studio, a brick and mortar business, shutting that off and then starting over online in a place that is super saturated with people and coaches, as you well know, and
Right.
basically starting at the bottom rung and having to work back up.
Yeah.
It's I do have some mental challenges from time to time, but I like to think I keep them under control.
Well, we'll talk about that because I'm sure if you're having them, other people are having them. But I
Oh,
want to
nice.
know about 14 in the gym. They couldn't pay me to go to the gym. And maybe it was because, and I'm not being egotistical, but I was a natural athlete. I mean, I was 6'3" at 14,
Wow.
so my parents treated me like a grown ass man at 14. My mom used to deal in antiques. And I'm not talking about the little dainty cups. I'm talking about big furniture pieces that
Wow.
no 14-year-old, no matter how big they are, should ever lift. My mom and dad had me lifting. but
So
you
you were
couldn't get
lifting weights anyway.
I by
Yeah.
default, brother,
Yeah.
by default. But I, in high school, you had a little rinky dinky gym because back in those days, the gyms weren't that well stocked, especially in a school. But you couldn't get me in there. I mean, and I was playing football and I was playing basketball in the aggressive sports, but you could not get me in there, man. I'm trying to figure out how you gravitated to the gym, man.
Well, to be totally honest, so the town that I moved to, it's a little town called Fort Thomas, Kentucky. It doesn't mean anything to anybody that's probably not anybody listening to this. There's some people from Fort Thomas listening to, I'm sure, but I liken it to Varsity Blues. Have you ever seen the movie Varsity Blues? If
I
you see,
have, I
yeah,
have.
if you've seen that movie, then you can understand Fort Thomas, the town. So the town of Fort Thomas is very football oriented, very sports oriented. When you
Mhm.
go there, you go there. If you're a guy, you typically go there to play sports. If you're a girl, you go there to play basketball or run track. Soccer team's pretty good too, but nonetheless, like you're going there probably to play sports.
Right.
So when we got there at 14 years old, I was in, I don't know, sixth or seventh grade at the time, seventh or eighth grade. I can't really remember. So they start the 60-minute club in seventh grade. So, if you want to be on the football team, you don't have to go to the 60-minute club. But if you want to be able to potentially play when you get to be a freshman, or you got to
I
play the game a little
you gotta
bit.
you gotta be in the system, man.
You got to play the game. So get
Okay.
in there. I got in there at 14 years old and just never got out. I loved it. I
All
remember the
right.
first time I bench pressed, which is hilarious. The coach must have thought that I was stronger than I was because he's like, "Yeah, let's put some of these plates on." So he puts 45-pound plates on, and I unracked it. Luckily, there's people spotting. I unracked the thing, just go boom right on my chest.
Oh,
It was hilarious. Anyway,
man, like,
yeah,
coach, what are you
yeah, yeah,
smoking, bro? That's
yeah.
funny, man.
I
I remember, my thing with the gym was there was a guy because in high school, the seniors were in there.
mm,
But down the road was an actual gym next to the 7-Eleven. And we used to walk to the 7-Eleven every day to get, big gulps or whatever we were getting. And,
mhm.
and we would look into the gym and see, I mean, they were muscle heads in there back then, man. They were like on roids. They were muscle heads, scared to death, to even poke your head in there for fear it was going to get ripped off. And not that they were mean to us because they weren't. It just looked mean.
That's what you
But that
assumed. Yeah.
but that's interesting, man, because it was a system that you got into, and that's what got you. We didn't have that system. It was like coach didn't say anything to the best athletes. It's like whatever you're doing, just keep doing that.
That's funny. Not too
so
good.
so you transition. Is it? I apologize. Like this year or the end of last year?
Uh, End of last year.
Okay,
So I closed the gym in literally the week of it was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day was the last workout at the gym.
really?
Yep, Thanksgiving Day. We did a Thanksgiving Day workout. We had a bunch of people there. It was a very emotional time, of course.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was the last day. And that's when it
Wow.
closed.
Now, were you able to take those folks and transition them to what you're doing offline?
So you would think so, but the hard thing is when you train people in person and then you start to try to transition them to do stuff offline,
Mhm.
and the price is not much different.
Mhm.
They expect in person,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you can pay our average membership at the gym at the time was $250 a month, give or take. That's everyone there is getting some sort of training. So they're either getting personal training or they're doing group classes or they're doing some
Okay.
sort of combination. So it's not
Right.
just like an open gym kind of thing like most people
Mhm.
visualize. It's a
Right.
studio. People are getting
Okay.
trained.
Got you.
So our average member paid about $250 a month. So what I am planning on charging is about $250 to $300 a month also,
Mhm.
but for a more holistic approach, like we talked about. We
Right.
still do video calls, we still do calls in that manner, but we don't meet in person. So
Mhm.
the idea to them, I guess, from transitioning to an in-person kind of thing where they can see you and talk to you and everything to an online, a lot of them, I had a bunch of them ask and reach out and inquire, but didn't have any of them jump on board, ironically
Right.
enough. But
So, since we're talking about transition, how
mm,
would you have transitioned that differently?
um, so I guess I never intended to try and pull them,
Okay.
and that maybe that was my downfall was
Mhm.
because I didn't intend to try and pull them out because we all make assumptions, right? You make assumptions in your head. So I made that assumption that because they were training with me on in person that they wouldn't want to transition to that online. So I didn't say it a whole lot whenever we
Oh,
were
you
whenever
assumed they wouldn't wanna
I
come.
made the du- yeah, I made the
Okay.
assumption, you know what assuming does, right? I made
Hey.
I made the assumption that they wouldn't, so I didn't say anything. And then they
Got
reached out, they started reaching out and
Mhm.
that kind of started being the case, but that's not to
Right.
say that they won't maybe down the road get more comfortable with the idea, but um I would have, if I would have done it differently, I would have started that conversation early and said, hey, here's what I'm going to be doing. Here's how it's going to be. Here's going to be the layout. I know it's going to be different. I know it's not going to be in person, but you're still going to be able to get results.
Right.
Basically laying out here's the difference between the two, recognizing that it's not the same, but also letting them know that you can still get the results that
Mhm.
you expect to get.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. As a planner, I'm a financial planner, but I'm still a planner. I will offer our listeners an idea. I would think that just as an idea, I'm not saying, hey, since you didn't have a plan, then we're not saying anything against your plan. So I would say that understanding that you fully intended at some juncture, you in your head, you fully intended to go online and you intended to offer a holistic approach. I would have started to groom, and I probably is a really bad word right now, but
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I would have
we'll
probably
work with
started
it.
to condition the people that I was working with in person for the for everything other than the fitness portion and made that
Mm,
available online. And then as you made the announcement and you're conditioning them, you're getting them on online meetings. Hey, we're going to do a workout, but we're going to have once a week online meeting or once every couple of weeks online meeting, and we're going to talk about these things. I'm going to give you a quiz or a questionnaire, and we're going to figure out how to make sure that you're not only improving outside, but you're improving inside, yada yada yada, and then transition from there because now you have them in some fashion or form used to talking to you online, and it might still not be too late from the standpoint that you can kind of go back and say, look, we're grandfathering in all of our brick and mortar family to this new deal. And I know you're creating a community, and so invite them into that and let them test it out and all that. It might be an idea. Might be
no,
an
that's
idea.
great. That's great.
Might be
Yeah.
an idea. But we're
Mhm.
not here to coach. We are here to
No, that's
figure.
dude, I'll take free coaching all day long. If all I gotta do is jump on a podcast to get a little coaching, I'm
Yeah,
quite all right with it.
yeah. No, but I would grandfather them in. So I had a
Mm,
spin studio, brick and mortar, and during the pandemic, I opened it January of 2020. or actually literally December 19, but officially January 2020. And March 16th, they shut us down. And so we were able to maintain for a few years, but we started to break even. So this is not worth it. My comment in saying that is we started to transition people to get our emails, and then we transitioned them to jumping on a Zoom call, and then it was coming to a group Zoom, and then it was, so we just slowly began to transition them to attack things other than just a physical spin bike. And that gave us a little bit of a leg up for the people that were serious, because everybody's not serious about, being holistic. Some people want to lift just arms and just abs, and they want to do the show,
or just
show
do the
muscles.
spin bike.
Just do the spin bike or whatever. So,
yeah.
So you talked about some mental challenges that you feel like you have under control, but most people or some people struggle with that. Tell us about some of those things and how you're able to keep them under control.
So when I say that, under control, meaning like it's not as prevalent. Yesterday is a perfect example of that, because yesterday some of that started to creep in again. I actually just talked about this on my Instagram story a little bit, but yesterday some of it started to creep in again. It's it's a confidence thing for me, because I am transitioning. Like I said, I was the owner of a gym in a pretty small town. We were the only training studio in a 2-mile radius, and I would say we were the best training studio in the area that we live in, probably a 5 to 7 mile radius. So I went from being, this is not me patting myself on the back and being egotistical.
Go ahead, man. Blow that ego up, man. Let us hear about your greatness.
Yes, I went from being a deal, if you will, to basically cutting that off and moving over to this area that is completely saturated and having to start from the bottom. I have a very small following online as of now. It's grown pretty good. I'm happy with the growth. I'm glad the way things are going. But basically, I cut that off and started from the bottom, and I'm building up again. So that person in my mind in the back that's like, oh, dude, you used to be this person over here. You used to be this guy over here that, when you walked into the gym, everyone wanted to see you. Everyone wanted to talk to you. Everyone in town knew who you were. You go to the coffee shop, everyone's talking to you. Where now I go online and people are like, Joe Schmo, is that your name? So that confident, that little voice in my head says that from time to time and points it out. And I have to be able to stop, because what I would do is it would be like punching me in the face constantly in the beginning. Like, oh my gosh, starting over every day. And it took me a while to calm it down. I had to recognize it. The important thing is to recognize it when it happens and not try to just plow through it. Because when you try to just plow through, you like have that feeling, you're like, well, I'm just going to keep going. It's just going to stay there, and it's just going to grow bigger, right? It's just going to keep manifesting back there and growing and getting bigger and bigger. So when it happens and you have that kind of like that feeling where it's like, oh man, I'm just not feeling it today. Right. You got to look at it and you go, okay, what's the reality? The reality is you're starting over. You're doing something. You've made progress. Here's what you've done. And what you can control is today. I control what I do right now in this moment, and then I can control what I can do in the next moment. I cannot control what happens tomorrow. I can only control what happens today.
So, on average, the people that you want to work with, let's take a look at the people that were actually in your brick and mortar, and not all of them, but on average, do you see them wanting to go from a focal point of physical fitness to a more holistic approach of total health and wellness? And I know they didn't jump in your bandwagon. I guess I'm saying what I'm really asking you is that, if you're looking and you're drawing in clients, are you drawing in people that are already looking for holistic health and they're looking for somebody to help them expand? Or are you looking to help people because you're an expert in the fitness universe on helping them transition from just physical to holistic?
I would say right now the vision is helping somebody who's probably still at nothing, and they think that what they need to do is just get themselves in shape or need to lose some weight.
Mm-hmm.
But really what they need to do is to build a person. And
Right.
that's what really needs to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the demographic that we had at the gym was between the age of 45 and 65. It was a wide range kind of, but it was a higher range, if you will, between
Mm-hmm.
45 and 65. My
Okay.
assumption is the person that is going to find something online and be more willing to do it online is that is probably going to be bumped down a little bit. That's my assumption, probably
Okay.
between 35 and 55.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm new at this, but it's kind of a guess. So that's as far as the age demographic goes, that's kind of where that is. But my feeling is it's going to be somebody who feels like they need to start. They feel like they need to start exercising, but they think it's just about exercising. And what they need is a person. They need to
Mm-hmm.
build themselves into something different,
Right.
not only to sustain the exercise, but to build a different life in general. Because probably if you want a different physicality, if you want to look different, look good naked, have less weight on you, whatever it is, you probably want more things in your life as well. You probably want better things in your life as well. And
Right.
that requires this. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
just require having a six pack, right?
Right. Yep.
I can give you a six pack all you want, but if
Yeah.
this isn't lined up, it doesn't matter because the six pack will just turn into flab again.
So how do you get people to understand that changing their surroundings changes their life?
Ha. There is the $100 million question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And that's why health and fitness is such a gigantic industry because so many people want to do something about it, but they keep falling for instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you change your mindset to understand that it is about what you surround yourself with and your mind and what's going on in your mind? How do you start to change your mindset about that? It's literally about, in my mind, it's about repetitively reminding them that it's about taking action every single day,
Right.
that it is about moving forward every single day, that it's about focusing on the journey, what's going to happen over a long period of time, potentially your lifetime, instead of just trying to get some instant outcome, instead of
Right.
just trying to get something I want right now. I want to get a six pack right now. Well, if that's going to be your focus, it's going to be a very short term thing. It's not going to happen. You might get
Right.
there, but you're not going to keep it.
Right.
So I think it's literally being honest with people
Mm-hmm.
and just telling them this is the way that it actually is. This is the way that
Yeah,
it's
because
actually
you're an
going.
expert. I mean, you're an expert. So to get people to understand that, you being honest with them is one thing. Them being honest with themselves is a whole different story, right?
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm thinking, listening to you, I'm thinking, yeah, when I do something like that, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go for like just the ab outline. we're just going for the outline. And then if I can get the most easiest, top two, we'll go with that. And then we'll just keep, slowly going. But the reality is that it's one workout at a time, is one decision at a time, is one spoonful of ice cream or not at a time. You know what I mean? And so that mindset is a monster for people to overcome, especially if they've never had to overcome. Like for you, playing football at such a young age and such an aggressive program, consistency, discipline, understanding that the results are addicting. And that it takes that kind of time. For other people, as you mentioned, the Matrix has us believing it's instant gratification. Just go get that sucked out of you, right? Just go. They have that cold freeze. We'll freeze it off of you, or we'll suck it out of your arms or your chest or your butt, or we'll suck it out of your stomach and we'll put it in your ass. I mean, what people pay for, and then they end up right back where they started because they never really changed the inside. So your approach of a holistic change, to me, is the change that people need to make. Hey, for those of you that are listening, go to Instagram.com/Jerry Scarlato. Check him out. Follow him. You will be able to start to pick up some insights and tips. And if you're ready, now listen, I don't know if you've been listening, but listen, you got to be ready to make the change from the inside out. You got to be ready to not only get your physical body right, but to get your internal, your spirit, your mind right, so that you can see results across the board, because that's motivation. When you're operating on the inside, you will stay a better motivated than if you're just waiting for an ab to pop out, or if you're just waiting for those what do they call those wings on women's arms? They get under their biceps.
Bat
Yeah,
wings,
the bat.
bingo arms.
Yeah, if
Bat
you're
wings
waiting,
or bingo arms.
yeah, if you're waiting for
Bingo.
that to go away, you're not going to be motivated, because between now and summer, you're going to make some improvements, but it's not going to be gone. So what are you going to say? You're going to say something, brother?
Well, if I can hit on that, I think that's real important. And it's not only like here's the thing. First of all, a little vanity is okay. Like if you want to look better, that's okay, because part of people's self-confidence issues is that they don't like the way they look, not necessarily from a physicality standpoint or whatever, like your face or your nose, like, but a lot of people are overweight and obese right now. And if you don't feel confident, there's a very good potential that that's part of the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
So to want to feel confident about yourself is not a bad thing. Like, don't feel bad. Don't let somebody shame you because you say, well, I want to lose weight because I want to feel better about my body. That's okay. Like, that is okay.
Yeah.
It will build confidence in you. On the other side of that, you can't do it because somebody else wants you to do it. You're talking about not, it has to be internal.
Right.
It does have to be internal. It can't be because your spouse wants you to do it, or your doctor wants you to do it, or because you feel like you need to do it because of your cholesterol numbers. It
Right.
cannot be for some external reason, because it won't last. You won't enjoy it, and it won't last. It has to be an internal, it has to come from here. It has to come from you.
I agree with you, man.
Dude, it has to.
So my brother and I'm taller than him, so my weight distribution, so I can kind of go a little bit further than he can without looking like I'm out of shape. But he and it's just so incredibly funny. This is to your point. He's not vain at all. Like, he could give a rat's tail what anybody thinks about him, what they're looking at him, what he's wearing, cannot care more, or couldn't care less. I, on the other hand, am like, look, brother's got to look good washing his car out in front of the neighbors, right? So
No.
I can only go so far before I get out of shape, and I got to reel that in. And that does act as vanity does act as a really good motivation for me not to go so far out of my scope of fitness, even from a physical standpoint. And then, you start getting back in your groove if you happen to slide out of it, and then you start feeling better. But one of the things I want you to touch on super quick before we shut this down is, before you feel better, you feel worse. Talking about physical fitness, right? So you're off the wagon, you start working out, you're more tired, you're more sore, you're like, why am I doing this to myself? Talk about that mindset and the transition, and how to get through that part to get to the part where you have more energy, and you are starting to see results.
Well, and I think that's with everything in life, right? And I'm sure you've seen this being a coach on your side. Whenever you make any kind of change, it's exciting in the beginning. Yeah. Like, that's why you started. Oh, I'm excited, I'm going to get going. But you're going to have obstacles, and you're going to have failures, and you're going to get beat up along the way. When it comes to exercise, like, yes, it's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be much more effortful than what you're used to doing, because the average person sits 8 to 10 hours a day. And if you sit 8 to 10 hours a day, then your body's not used to being challenged. So there's going to be a time period where your body has to adapt, and it has to adapt to the external forces that you're putting against it, which means you're going to be achy, which means there's going to be some discomfort, which means there's going to be a level of pain. It shouldn't be too much, but there should be a level of pain.
Right.
But like I said, that's with anything. When you make a change, there's going to be a level of pain in your mind. In your mind, when you go and change something, The old you is going to go, no, you don't need to do that. Come back this way. Come back this way.
Come back to comfort.
Yeah, come back to comfort. Don't step forward into growth. Come back into safety. Safety is this way.
Right.
And you're going to constantly feel that just turn in your mind, that tension in the very beginning, because that's what your mind's trying to tell you to do. The old you wants you to stay where you are. There's a reason why you stayed where you are. The irony is unhealthy people will stay unhealthy because it's comfortable.
100%, man.
Like
it's 100%.
There's no rationale to that. There's zero, but it's reality.
So jumping on that topic, how do you recommend people develop the mental toughness, the mental fortitude to get through that transition or any transition?
Focusing on the steps that you can take today. Because if you think too much about either what you're missing out on, who you used to be, what you're missing out on, or how far you have to go, then it feels overwhelming. If you think about how far you have to go, oh, that's overwhelming. It's good to have big, audacious goals. I completely believe in those. However, if that's all you think about, you're going to drive yourself nuts. On the other hand, like I said, it's easy to step back into comfort. Most people will keep themselves unhappy because it's a comfortable place to be.
Right.
So you have to focus on what you can literally do today. It's daytime blocks. It's blocks of time. One day, what can I do today in order to keep moving forward? And you're basically building that person each day, literally by just making a choice. I'm going to the gym today because I told myself on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go to the gym. Today's Wednesday. I'm going to the gym.
Right.
I have this for breakfast. That's what I'm going to eat. I don't drink Cokes. Like whenever you set the standard and then you make the decisions to fill the standard every single day. That's how you build discipline. That's how you build courage. That's how you build mental fortitude moving forward, is literally just today. Because
I love it.
People just think too much about everything, like everything.
Yeah.
What can you do today?
You know what's so funny, man, is that I would just abuse people in spin class. Like yourself, I'm an ex-athlete, right? I played Division I college football, and I never reached the pinnacle of my success that I wanted to. So I take it out on people in spin class. So some chick, some woman, I shouldn't say chick. That's not right. Some woman will come in and she's getting married, right? And she's, and I know this because I'm an engaging person. Hey, how are you? Who are you? What are you up to? What is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? Oh, I'm getting married in June. I need to make my dress fit. Man, we would text them. Oh, dress ain't gonna fit. Missed class today. I would call people from the stage. So I'm an early bird, as I already mentioned. So we'd have spin class at 6 a.m. 5:55, I'd be calling people with in the speaker system, so everybody else in class could hear.
Everyone can hear.
Phone's ringing. Now, I didn't do it too often because one time I called and I heard some husband go, "Who's that guy calling?" But we call him. What are you doing? And I slept in. I had to. So that dress that you might as well go get that dress resized because it ain't gonna fit. Yeah. I'm like, well, you can still come in. How far away you live, but giving people that motivation and helping them understand that they have to overcome, those times that they don't want to do something, but they have a bigger goal. So I agree with you. I also agree that if you want to save $10,000, you can't worry about the 10. You got to worry about the next dollar.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to lose 20 pounds, you can't worry about the 20 pounds. You got to worry about the next meal you have. Mm-hmm. Is it a clean meal? You know what I mean? So it's exactly what you said. Just kind of reframed it a little bit. But you know what? I've enjoyed our time. I look forward to having you back. Why don't you stay back in the green room for a second and we'll chop it up. Hey, you heard him, he put it in the same context I put it in, except for I use the word code. You have to have some deal breakers. You say to yourself, you're going to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's your code. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m., I work out. Or after work, I work out. That means pack your bag. Pack your bag, put it in the car so that you don't go home, sit on the couch and decide, I'm just going to go tomorrow. Because tomorrow never comes. So do you have a code that you're going to operate by for your own personal excellence? And are you going to hold everybody else in your circle accountable to your code? You can't let other people break what it is that you set for yourself if you want to be successful. Jerry Scarlato, find him on Instagram. You will never be disappointed when you reach out to somebody who's an expert, and he is an expert. Do you know what an expert is? 10,000 hours concentrated on one subject matter makes you an expert. He has that. He has that times 10. So reach out to him. Let him help you organize, structure, restructure, and transition into the new you. I'm Derick Gant. Be your best. Bring your best. Subscribe, like, and share. And definitely by doing that, you'll leave nothing to chance. Have an amazing day.